Welcome back to the No Hair All Heart podcast with your host and author, Mookie Spitz. I am again reading from my novel, Jonnie, Fazoolie, and the Transfinite Reality Engine, episode 2. Yes, we have made it. All of 69 pages into the book. If you've been tracking, thanks for listening. If you're just jumping in, I wrote this book with the feeling that a great book lends itself to a terrific read, even if you randomly open it up, let your fingers do the walking and your mouth do the talking, and just read any random passage aloud. That's especially expedited with my 3-line paragraph approach here in the book, which are like Lego pieces of literature. It's weird. It's fun. I believe it makes for a breathless reading. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, as you go through the book from paragraph to paragraph. The weird symmetry, especially on the page. If you get the print copy, the soft-bound paperback, then I went through great pains to align the margins and set the book formatting so that these paragraphs line up with each other on the left and right pages. Obviously, lines of dialogue break up that rhythm, but my dialogue never went beyond the 3 lines either. You'll have 1 line, sometimes 2, most often 3, and it more or less maintains that clip. And it's unique, it's weird, it's fun, but suffice to say that there is a story here. A tightly wound, focused, multidimensional story. And in episode 1, The Birth, we were introduced to Alice and Pitz' team, the incel ops crew at her offices. And finally, the one and only Jonnie Fazoolie Jr. We ended that episode with Penny and Jonnie having quite a literal falling out. Jonnie wingsuit base jumps off of his penthouse apartment balcony, ostensibly to impress Penny on his interview for inclusion in her Thrillionaires Under 30 list. Jonnie wants the press, wants to have a romp in the sack with Penny, and it backfires. Penny turns to try to make her way across Jonnie's junkyard of an apartment, only to get herself evicted along with the impounding of his apartment by the Cook County Sheriff's Office. So Jonnie literally leaps off the balcony just in time for the cops to come to confiscate his apartment, and Penny is underwhelmed by this. She's underwhelmed by his attitude, his arrogance, his mess of an apartment, and the fact that he's actually on the brink of bankruptcy despite all of his social media, extreme sports, and entrepreneurial shenanigans. So by the time Penny gets to the lobby and runs right into Jonnie, who's come back to go ask Penny for a date, as far as she's concerned, it's over before it even began. But not so fast. Penny is nonetheless mesmerized and aroused by this guy. She turns him on for all the wrong reasons in all the right ways. And Jonnie is similarly enthralled and entranced by Penny, even though they're their time physically together is in the minutes. They've both turned into an almost instantaneous obsession over each other. Ah, love. We meet hundreds, thousands of people in our lives. We can even know someone for years. We could date someone for years. And the magic just doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's not quite like this. Something's going on between Penny and Jonnie. Neither Penny nor Jonnie really know what it is. It's definitely something, and this Alice creature with her lullaby and all this zaniness seems to have an impact to the point where Johnny's on the run and Penny somehow goes into this deeply hallucinogenic state where she's zombied out, loses consciousness, and enters some kind of bizarre dream of total darkness and isolation, freaking her the hell out. So by the end of episode 1, what the hell is going on? And the answer is, well, we don't really know yet, but hopefully enough is going on to make you want to turn that page and get into episode 2. And that's what I am doing now. So without further ado, my daily readings continue. This is the 11th reading, the 11th day of reading my whole book. And we are again on page 69 of the first edition print copy, entering episode 2, The Bet. Quoting Wilson Misner, gambling is a sure way of getting nothing for something. And this section is called Going for Broke. Love's labor's lost on this romantic loser. Jonnie never takes no for an answer, always convincing himself that the harder his infatuations play hard to get, the more they truly want him. The arrogance and naivete protect him from the pain of chronic rejection and shield his countless vulnerabilities from the relentless onslaught of low self-esteem and raging paranoia. Surprising everyone, including himself, much of the time this compensatory approach works. Lovers wooed by his confusing yet enticing combination of egomania and self-consciousness. Jonnie figures his risk-taking and thrill-seeking get chicks revved up, while also being reassured that, thanks to his implicit lack of confidence and endless romantic failures, he's mostly harmless. His business strategies are similarly paradoxical and perverse, exacerbated of late by shady deals so far-fetched they crushed him faster than he could flee from his avalanche of prior failures. Lovelorn and busted for the umpteenth time, the walls are now closing in on him with vexatious whoosh. Non-neurodivergent folks would panic, yet chaos calms him like Ritalin does for kids. Another attractive and intelligent woman rejecting him, his swank fuckpad confiscated, Jonnie hits the road for a place to crash and hide from whomever else is hunting him down. Sneaking his cat into a smarmy motel in the burbs, he makes calls. A born bullshitter who does nothing except entice people to do things for him, he turns to his experts for another rescue. Hello? Jonnie here. Jonnie Fazoolie. Remember me? You do? That's great. Sorry, this isn't my fault. Welcome to that special time of the year again when I check up on you and ask if Christmas doesn't happen in the goddamn summer and I'm not Santa fucking Claus, advises his father who answered the phone because he's retired in Florida and doesn't know any better. Exercise, take vitamin D, reduce exposure to tanning bed radiation, stop jerking off, coaches his life coach, whose best advice to himself has been to avoid Jonnie. Another fail. Even though you're getting fucked all the time, try not to get another STD, advises his family physician, even though Jonnie doesn't have a family and this guy isn't a physician. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't out to get you, therapizes his therapist, diagnosing autism and ADHD, then treating him with RX for old school anxiety and depression. You owe too much money to too many people to technically be broke, calculates his accountant, terrified of being replaced by AI and trying to keep himself relevant by still talking to Jonnie. Steal another bogus idea that can't work, you can't sell, and we get sued for, suggests his patent attorney, who's been sued so many times over Fazoolie's frauds, he feels obligated to answer the phone. Whatever the hell you do, don't do another stunt video and wipe out again, counsels his personal injury lawyer, hoping Jonnie gets seriously wiped out in another harebrained stunt. Whatever the hell you do, don't get married again, counsels his divorce lawyer, who's taken Jonnie to the cleaners only to then get ripped off by Jonnie, who still hasn't paid the retainer. Whatever the hell you do, don't do it on social media, implores his PR manager, after getting sued by Fazoolie's patent and personal injury lawyers and diagnosed by his therapist. Whatever the hell you do, don't do anything illegal, immoral, or fattening and get arrested again, counsels his rabbi, even though Jonnie isn't Jewish and never listens to his advice anyway. You were much more responsible with money when we were together, reveals his ex-wife, who is thrilled to pick up because Jonnie never calls her unless, of course, he's asking for money. Hi, baby. Are you horny? Flirts his favorite transgendered escort, a tease ever since Jonnie paid her with a casino marker after a depraved Atlantic City weekend neither of them can remember. Forgetfulness triggers a memory, that of his prescient stake in crypto. Proud contrarian, on September 23rd, 2011, Jonnie bought 555 Bitcoin at $5.55 each on Mt. Gox. Total cost was $3,098.74. The exchange fee back then was 0.6%, amounting to $18.48. A minor fee of 0.001 Bitcoin per kilobyte of download time for a total of $0.00056, and transfer fee of 0.001 Bitcoin or $0.00555 for a total cost of $18.49 for the transaction fees. What a ripoff, he thought at the time. The holiday season was coming, and Fazoolie felt they'd make terrific, if unwieldy, gag gifts. Here's some bitcoins, baby. Merry Crypto Christmas. Haha. Nobody cared. Or, for that matter, wanted any of this shit. So his OG crypto sat there until early 2014 when Mt. Gox got hacked and first generation crypto bros freaked. Solution? Transfer coins from PC based Electrum to the new Trezor One. Since then, Jonnie's 555 bitcoins have been accessible through this car key fob-sized plastic device that has a small screen and two buttons and plugs into any computer through its USB port. The good news, hitting a high only a few weeks ago of $111,891.30 thanks to BTC taking over DC, Jonnie's Christmas joke is worth, give or take the daily fluctuations, about $62 million. Based on his initial investment of about $3,000, that's an increase of about 2,000,000%. Not bad for a guy who can't keep his mouth shut, his money in his pocket, or his dick in his pants. The bad news, he's forgotten his PIN. And although luckily has the vital 25th word passphrase, he can't factory reset the device because he's also lost the 24-word seed of his master private key. In other words, he's fucked. Not totally fucked, as in his 62 million is lost forever, but still pretty much fucked, because having only 2 out of 3 security safeguards knocks him out. Fazoolie's mood ratchets from the ecstasy of that prescient investment saving his ass into the agony of those millions being vaporized thanks to remembering he's forgotten his seed phrase. How could he be so impulsive, irresponsible, and stupid? Don't answer that. 60 million bucks and counting in crypto that he bought for 3,000, now hovering in digital purgatory. He'd chosen a personal and unforgettable PIN, but didn't write it down, assuming he wouldn't lose his seed and could always reset his device if he did forget it. And then he lost both. Fuck. So off to Cancun he goes to hide from creditors, disgruntled clients, and the state, and meet in person with Sato, his dark web consultant, who has promised to hack into his wallet. Fronting the IT expert is remaining borrowed credit. Jonnie can't decide if the act was hopeful or desperate. The last time he saw the guy was naked in a Turkish bath, so he opts for the latter. Lingering doubts further fuel his over-the-top, raging paranoia. He's paid this shady character a sizable upfront retainer to ensure the job gets done, but what if he can't or won't do it? Even worse, what if Jonnie Conman is getting conned? Hustler hustled. Like a thief, always worried about getting ripped off, Fazoolie is constantly afraid of his take being caught on the take. Everyone steals, his father Jonathan Fazoolie Sr., a real estate grifter, told him. One of the few pieces of advice young Jonnie ever heeded. So you might as well start right now. That strategy has proven expeditious for Jonnie, especially when rationalizing his propensity for ripping everyone off. Nowadays, the shitty attitude is trending, making him even more suspicious. An analogous fate befell the legendary Doyle Brunson, whose winnings fell precipitously after he published his super system and spilled the beans on his aggressive poker-playing strategy. Not a Doyle, Jonnie has nonetheless survived, if not flourished for years, by applying his own rug pull, pigeon drop, pump and dump, Ponzi, panhandling, and catfishing hustle strategies. But now that everyone is a grifter, from the President of the United States of America to the hundreds of people pardoned to millions of people across the country, his lies are wearing thin, as is Jonnie's capacity to find gullible marks and then get away with ripping them off. Having gone mainstream, the competition is fierce, explaining, if not justifying, his current dire straits. Before checking out, Jonnie busts into some Tai Chi moves to calm his agitated ass down. His cat watches Fazoolie brush knee, shoot the bow, touch the sky, and white crane spread his wings. Meow, says BS, resigning himself to another road trip with this lunatic. Jonnie not only takes his feline everywhere, but often incorporates him into stunts, his allergies ever present. My cryptocurrency, he shouts, shoving his pet into a carrier at O'Hare Airport. I'll be saved! The sight of the tall, blonde freak with a cat triggers the TSA to conduct a full body cavity search. Unable to rape the willing, Fazoolie passes with flying colors. Grabbing his cat in a box, he dashes to the Cinnabon nearest their gate for a shameless burst of pre-flight carbohydrates. The sudden uptick of his A1C level boosts the formation of advanced glycation end products throughout Jonnie's body, stiffening his tissues and worsening his chronic conditions. Sneezing, sweaty, stinky, and now sticky, our hero cuts the Zone 1 line with an economy coach ticket until an irate gate agent sends him to the back. Don't you know who I am? You look like an Expedia crosswind, snarks the agent, unimpressed after having checked in Denzel Washington, Mark Cuban, and Chris Rock on a few of their rare commercial flights. Upgrade me, shouts Jonnie, his tarnished ego tarnished, waving his counterfeit Amex Black card like it contained nuclear codes, and North Korea just launched one at Honolulu. Jonnie winds up using Disney points for the section switch, redeemed with much relief from the agent and cabin crew, who can't wait for this guy to shut the hell up and sit the hell down. You'd figure your epileptic, jittery, politician, talkative Jonnie would turn a luxurious first-class cabin into an airborne nightmare. But cramped spaces somehow cuddle him up and calm him down. Meow, says BS under his seat, not pleased with the situation, but used to it. A feline frequent flyer, Jonnie's cat is indeed taken everywhere despite the inconvenience, histamines, and ill will. Fazoolie falls asleep right after takeoff, his head pitched back, mouth open, snoring and gasping, spritzing into bursts loud and messy enough to make babies not allowed in exit rows cry. Above Nashville, a passenger can't stand it any longer and stuffs Jonnie's nose and mouth with napkins, tissues, a bag of glazed almonds, and a soiled copy of Hemisphere's in-flight magazine. A round of applause from passengers and crew signal victory until Jonnie wakes up soon after, everyone missing him sawing logs when the muscles in his face reactivate and he starts to talk. I'll give you $100 just to shut the fuck up, pleads a mustachioed man in a charro outfit, wearing a skinny tie, bolero jacket embroidered with Aztec patterns, and a huge sombrero. Flipping on the Fazoolie charm, Jonnie turns confrontation into celebration by buying drinks for the entire first-class section, then leading them in a tone-deaf version of La Cucaracha. The mariachi man, his enormous hat looming over the entire first-class section like a radio telescope, pulls out a Spanish guitar from the overhead bin and serenades the whole flight. La cucaracha, they sing, ya no puede caminar. Porque no tiene, porque le falta marihuana que fumar. Agua! he shouts after each verse, tambourines distributed. Reminded that the drinks are already free in first class, Jonnie lights up a joint with the help of a sympathetic and excitable flight attendant and passes the smoldering blunt around. The consummate opportunist, B.S. the cat, takes advantage of the pandemonium to escape from his pet carrier and leap onto Jonnie's lap, who welcomes his pal with a convulsive sneeze. Achoo! Salud, says the passenger who stuffed Jonnie's face full of random in-flight items. The flyer now chill thanks to the strength of Jonnie's weed and the ridiculousness of the entire scene. You're welcome. By the time the reefer returns to our hero, another attendant, this one male, flamboyant, and shouting at the top of his lungs, pours iced raspberry sparkling water over JF's big blonde head. Unfazed, Jonnie shakes himself like a dog fresh out of swimming in a lake. Seltzer and hairspray spritzing all over the first-class cabin, infuriating everyone except the crooner. I thought you were an asshole from the first second I saw you, smiles Mariachi Man, high-fiving El Fazul. I still think you're an asshole, but this was one of my funnest flights ever. Arriba! His job here done, Fazoolie watches an in-flight post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie and passes out, oblivious to passengers again trying to muffle his snoring by inserting various objects into his face. The Mariachi Man places his gigantic sombrero over Jonnie's big head. The act of service mitigates the sonic onslaught by at least 10 to 20 decibels, eliciting thunderous applause from passengers and crew. Tune in tomorrow for the next section in episode 2, and we'll find out what happens on the rest of the flight and if they ever make it to Mexico. Like, comment, share, more to come.